Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawahir al-Quran, the Jewels of the Quran. We have reached Surah Al-Qasas. Imam Ghazali chose 7 verses, and the surah of the stories of the Surah Al-Qasas. And these verses 68 to 73, and then 88. What's this surah about in the first place? Let's remember that it is Imam Al-Ghazali who chose these jewels, and our attempt here is to we'll attempt to understand why these jewels, or simply also to appreciate these the meaning there, get a taste of the beauty and see what messages there are. But I think it's important to understand the wider context of the surah, because, for example, despite the fact that this surah is pretty much about Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. Here, basically, it's verse 68. Most of the verses before 68 are about the story of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. Even after 73, you'll still find verses about Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. And let's remember that Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, he was mentioned 136 times by name in the Qur'an. Many other verses about him, the larger context really. And most probably he's the prototype prophet in the Quran. And the prophecy in the Old Testament, like unto thee Moses, the Christians think that it's more prophecy about Isa alayhi salam, Jesus Christ, peace upon him. And of course it's not, it's about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We believe in both as prophets, and like unto thee Moses, the similarities are very clear. Normal birth, Jesus, Sayyid Musa alayhi salam, normal birth. Sayyid Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, normal birth. Masih alayhi salam, miraculous birth. He is the word of God to Mary alayhi salam. Normal death. Sayyid Musa alayhi salam, normal death. Sayyid Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Jesus Christ, peace upon him, was raised from amongst his followers. His people, part of his people, plotted against him, plotted to kill him. They want to crucify him, but he was neither crucified nor was killed. Musa alayhi salam was he got married. Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam got married. Nothing. There is no mention of Jesus Christ, peace upon him, getting married during this, relatively speaking, short period. And also, Musa alayhi salam was both prophet, a messenger, of course, and political leader. Same thing applies to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a prophet and a messenger, and also a political leader of the community. Jesus Christ, peace upon him, is known to have said, "My kingdom is not from this world. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar." The idea is that he detached himself from the world of politics, or even organized society. Not at all. He was not part of anything organized. We know that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from day one in Medina, he worked he worked on basically establishing the society, and it was almost like a de facto uh, state, and also establishing a market place for the Muslims, the centrality of the mosque in Medina, reconciling the Aus and Khazraj, the two main tribes in Medina, the fraternity between the Muhajirin and the Ansar, the migrants from Mecca, and the indigenous people of Medina, and then later on a campaign sending letters to the kings and leaders to the north, to the east, and to the west. Um, but there are specific verses that one can think about when we talk about before we read these seven verses. I think it's important to remember that Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, of course, he was raised during a period when the Pharaoh used to kill the children of the Israelites, and his mother was inspired to put him uh, in a wooden box to and to put him in water, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uh, um, softened the heart of the family of the Pharaoh when they found him floating in the water, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevented Sayyidina Musa salam from breastfeeding from any woman, so that he will go back to his mother to breastfeed him. His sister, you know the story, she followed him from, at a distance, and he was raised in the house of the Pharaoh. And when he grew up, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him wisdom and knowledge. Still, he was not a prophet yet. That will be on his way back from Midian. He gets entangled in a. There was a fight between one of the children of Israel and one of the Egyptians. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, just simply with one blow, even wakazahu, it's not really darabahu, it's not a, so the it seems that but it's really destiny, it's really the things will unfold the way they have unfolded. The Egyptian was killed from that blow. The next day, almost the same story with the same thing, and the Egyptian told Sayyidina Musa salam that whether he wants to kill him like the way he killed the Egyptian the day before. At this moment, someone told Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam that people are plotting to kill him, and he told him that he was obviously hiding his faith, uh, and he told him just to run away, get out of the of Egypt. And this is how he ended up in Midian. And in Midian, first of all, Sayyidina Musa was just like a political refugee, um, but with nothing, no food, no clothing, nothing really that he could use to even buy food. Without family, he was afraid. He was, just think about all the feelings of a migrant. Today they say illegal migrant, asylum seeker who has nothing and really hopes for a miracle. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam found the two young women standing aside because they were polite. they were shy. They would not mingle with the men, the shepherds. So that until the shepherds basically provide water to their cattle, and then they would do the same. But Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam volunteered, and he did that for them. He provided water for their cattle, and then he resorted to the shade. And there he made a dua, a supplication. He prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khayrin faqir. And this is something that is obviously the when أما يجيب مضطر إذا دعاه. If you are really in dire need and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond. Thereafter, one of the girls, one of these young women, came to him, and she told him that her father is inviting him so that he could reward him for what he has done. So he everything that was lacking, he received. So by the end of the day, he had a wife, a contract for 8 or 10 years. The 2 years extra, I think that he did he completed the 10 years, family, shelter, a job, everything that he needed was subhanallah by the end of the day was granted to him. This is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But remember, Ya Rabbi inni liman zata ilayya min khayrin faqir. Every human being is in need. Even when you think you don't, you are always in need. Antum al-fuqara ila Allah. We always need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything. You might have you might have billions, but you might not be able to breathe on your own, or you might not be able to eat on your own, or you'll not be able to walk on your own. Subhanallah. It's a very beautiful story. Of course, the woman character is the wife of the Pharaoh, Imrat Pharaoh, Moses, alayhi salam, Moses' mother, his sister, the two young women. One of them becomes his wife. So this is the pretty much the context of this surah is about Sayyidina Musa salam, and it's practically towards the end the narrative shifts. The very last part shifts to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and so the verses here do not subhanallah do not reflect that particular long story of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, and I think it's an amazing story worth mentioning as the wider context, of this particular chapter, Surah Al-Qasas. The actual verses that we have here, these 7 verses, I will read. Your Lord creates what He pleases and chooses. They have no choice. Glory be to God. High be He, exalted above that which they, meaning the idolaters, the non-believers, associate with Him. Your Lord knows that which they conceal in their minds and that which they disclose. He is God. There is no God but He. To Him alone belong all types of perfect praise in this world. This world, al-ula, and in the hereafter, al-akhirah. The translation says here, He is the judgment. And really, the verse in the Quran, وَلَهُ الْحُكْمُ, and to Him you will be returned. وَلَهُ الْحُكْمُ, to Him belongs the judgment. supreme judge on the day of judgment. Lahul hukm, no one else, through and through. Now your Lord creates, and I'm going to highlight this aspect also because it has been repeated in so many among the verses that Imam Al-Ghazali chose, almost all of them except when this really in one or two cases, maybe not, because there is a short there is a short selection, the jewel. Your Lord creates. وَرَبُّكَ يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيَخْتَارُ. Your Lord creates what He pleases and chooses. And let me quickly mention, at least, even when some of these jewels, some of these verses, some of them mention the notion of khalq, of creation, more than once. I'll just choose only once. And in reverse order. So Surah Al-Qasas, the one before Surah Al-Naml. قوله تعالى أمن خلق السماوات والأرض وأنزل لكم من السماء ماء فأنبتنا به حدائق ذات بهجة ما كان لكم أن تنبتوا شجرها أإله مع الله بل هم قوم يعدلون. So this verse speaks about the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, though it the form of a question, but the or أمن خلق السماوات والأرض. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created the universe, the heavens and the earth. The previous surah, Surah Al-Shu'ara, الذي خلقني فهو يهدين. In Surah Al-Furqan, الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وما بينهما في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش الرحمن فاسأل به خبيرا. Surah النور والله خلق كل دابة من ماء. سورة المؤمنين ولقد خلقنا الإنسان من سلالة من طين. سورة الحج يا أيها الناس إن كنتم في ريب من البعث فإنا خلقناكم من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم من علقة ثم من مضغة مخلقة وغير مخلقة لنبين لكم. الآية. سورة الأنبياء وما خلقنا السماء والأرض وما بينهما لاعبين. So most of these selections, so the theme itself, the creation, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, because it's obvious, it's very clear, it's very vivid. There are other things that are not they're not obvious to the general, to everyone. Say that you talk about scientists who discover something in physics or in chemistry or in biology. The quote unquote the lay person might not understand that much, though it is ultimately about creation. If it's physics, it's about creation. If it's chemistry, it's about creation. If it's biology, it's about creation. So that which really manifests itself right before your eyes has to have a creator. And this is really a theme that repeats itself. Even the next, after Surah Al-Qasas, Surah Al-Ankabut, أولم يروا كيف يبدئ الله الخلق ثم يعيده إن ذلك على الله يسير. Subhanallah. A very sophisticated genome, sophisticated DNA, sophisticated RNA, very sophisticated. How could it be? There is no way, there is no room for physics becoming biology on its own, that's impossible. There is no way. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At any rate, this is really only a glimpse, let's say. So your Lord creates what He pleases and chooses. They have no choice. From 68 to 70. Then it continues. Ask the idolaters, have you thought? It says simply, have you thought if God were to extend the night over you until the day of judgment? What God other than God is there who could bring you light? And this daylight is, yeah, say Alhamdulillah. People from Scandinavian countries during the winter, they go to countries where there's abundance of sunlight, some warmth, but really it's about sunlight. Some people might have, and they do, have depression because of the gray skies, the dam, when you have clouds. I remember I was during the winter in Sweden and Norway. The only time when I saw the sun, it was when the aeroplane took off and it was above it flew above the clouds. Then I saw the sun, and it was almost like such a delight. So think about a perpetual night. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who would create who will bring us light. Will you not then hear? Ask them also. Tell me, if God were to extend the day over you until the day of judgment, what God other than God is there who could bring you night in which you could rest? You need to rest. One of the things a neurosurgeon who, of course, it's not, you don't need a neurosurgeon to tell you this about certain things. He said there are, because he also worked in the emergency rooms at hospital, and he realized that most of the injuries that people have were because number one, alcohol, but he did mention seat belt, and one of the things he mentioned also, staying very late outside the house might be a cause of trouble, and people get injured. He said, just simply stay home at night, go and rest. Of course, will you not see then see of His mercy He has made you? He has made for you the night and the day, that you may rest therein, that you may seek of His bounty, and that you may be grateful. Do not call on another God with God. There is no God. This is 88, verse 88. There is no God but He. Everything will perish except Himself. كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه. He is the له الحكم. To Him belongs the judgment, and to Him you will be returned. So He created this universe. He created us, and there will be a term. There is that term for each individual, and there is a term for humanity at large, and there is a term for the universe itself. كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه. Save Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that everything else will perish. There is a term for every single thing in the universe. With this, we conclude these 7 verses, inshallah. we'll in the next session we'll read from Surah Al-Ankabut, 9 verses. Also, the beginning there is about creation. Until then, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.